remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
asking us in the way we always do in blessing occasions of this nature, all of us in our respective ways, to take a minute of prayer before we begin. Bismillah. Amen. May all our prayers be answered. It is my singular honor, in my capacity as the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, to welcome all of you, representing the diverse press and media houses and institutions, to this press conference, whose main aim is to launch the 2019 annual reports of the National Human Rights Commission, the first of its kind since the establishment of the Commission last year. It is worth noting that the annual reports, the publication of it, is a request, or rather is by law. And I'm sure this will be clarified as we come to tell you more about our functions, which shall be the task of our distinguished and honorable chairperson. But it is worth noting that the Commission did not really cover a full year in 2019 as an established institution, wholly established institution. And as a result, this maiden report has, as a maiden one, given the perspectives but as well as activities of the Commission, which in my own personal opinion can only be categorized as exceptional. So we are hoping that by the end of this session, not only will you better understand what our functions are, why we operate, why we exist, why we are different from other commissions that have been established since 2017. But you will also further know how much work has been done since the commissioners have been sworn in February 2019. With the permission of the Honorable Chair, I would like to introduce members of the High Table. I would like to begin without any particular order from the far left, from my far left of the table, Commissioner Yundu Drame, who is one of the 5 commissioners. Next to him, we have the Honorable Vice Chairperson, Mrs. Jaina Bajong. And I can safely skip 2 of us and go from the other extreme end of the table. We have Mrs. Judy Oda, who is an AU specialist and expert attached to this commission since before the commission was even established, and who supported in the establishment of the commission. And then on my immediate right, we have Commissioner Imam Babali. Among the staff, directors present here, we have my Deputy Executive Secretary, Ms. Matilda Mendy. We have the Director of Communications and Media, Mrs. Aissatou Njai Chan. We have Mr. Mansour Jo, who is the Director of Legal and Investigations. We have Mr. Aliu Nyan, who is the Director of Programs and Resource Mobilization. I didn't mention it. And then we also have Mr. Lamin Fati, who is a Communication and Media Officer. I'm hoping that I have covered members of my staff here. And I will now finish. Yes, Ms. Jacqueline Jarganjai, who is our Executive Assistant, my humble self, Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, and I'm sure the one on whom all the cameras are focused, our Honorable Chair, Mr. Emmanuel Daniel Diouf. So, to make it quick, what we intend to do now is I will give the floor to the Honorable Chairperson, who will take some time to give a statement on which you will get the overview of the National Human Rights Commission's mandates, highlight of achievements in 2019, challenges and lessons that we learned. And then following that, we will invite the Honorable Vice Chairperson, who will now officially present to you the annual reports. And then we will open the floor for questions and answers from the press. And when we arrive there, we will probably appeal for order. So we will probably need a way of organizing it in such a way that each press or representative from a media house would have the opportunity to ask a question and allow the others during the period. And once we have that done, we will then go on for closing remarks coming from one of our distinguished commissioners, Commissioner Yundu Drame, and that would end the press conference for today. So thank you very much. I think without much ado, I therefore invite the Honorable Chairperson, Mr. Emmanuel Daniel Juve, who will now give his statement. Mr. Juve.
Executive Secretary for those introductory words. Madam Vice Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, commissioners present here, our AU expert consultant, staff of the National Human Rights Commission present, and members of the press present here, media. We welcome you all, and I welcome you on behalf of the National Human Rights Commission to our press briefing today, which the Executive Secretary has just explained to you. The objective is to talk to you about our annual report, our mandate, and who we are. And perhaps some of you have followed us. Some maybe don't know much about what we do and how we came into being. So I'll just use this opportunity today. They say the press is it the fourth estate, and so that we can have a discussion, so that you can have a full understanding of what the National Human Rights Commission is all about. And just to take you quickly back to memory lane, if you remember in 2017, some of you will remember the National Human Rights Commission Act was passed, and in 2018 it received the presidential assent. And on the 14th of February 2019, 5 commissioners were sworn into office. That was sometime last year. And they were sworn into office, as I always say, with nothing but their appointment letters as commissioners. In other words, even an office we didn't have. We didn't have any tools to do our work. So this is where we're coming from. But perhaps it was therefore left to the commissioners themselves to build up the secretariat. And it was only in August, July-August of last year that we were able to get a fully functional secretariat and also even an office. We only was able to get a rented office in October of last year. So this is where we're coming from. But perhaps I should maybe start delving on the commission. What is the commission's mandate? Who we are? Well, the National Human Rights Commission, as I said, was established by an act of the National Assembly. Most of the time, people think that we are a civil society organization. Some think that we are a government entity. We are not. The Act is very clear as to who we are. It is an independent institution. In most jurisdictions, there is what is known as the National Human Rights Commission. And their mandate is clearly spelled out. They are independent of government. But just to quickly perhaps tell you our function, our main function is to promote and protect human rights in the Gambia. This is the mandate that has been given to this institution. And in doing so, we have been mandated by law to monitor, to receive, investigate, and consider complaints of human rights violation in the Gambia. We also are mandated to recommend appropriate remedial action to the government and to seek appropriate redress on behalf of complainants. We are mandated to promote awareness and respect for human rights, and this we do through conducting public awareness and education programs, undertaking studies, publishing guidelines and manuals. We also organize international and national seminars. We review existing human rights legislation and make recommendations to the government concerning the compliance of the existing legislation with our international obligations, that is our treaties and convention. So the annual work plan that is being presented to you today gives you an overview of what we did during the period in which the commissioners were sworn in, and especially since we had a fully functional secretariat. So this is what this report, this annual report, is telling you about. What we scan. It is a requirement under the it is a requirement under the National Human Rights Commission Act that every year we come before Parliament to explain to Parliament what our findings were, what is the situational analysis of the human rights situation in the country. But not only, and also to present a financial report also to them. But not also that the Act says that we should disseminate as widely as possible our findings. And this is why we have this press briefing, so that you can understand, and at the end of it, we will also give you copies of our findings during the 2019. So what we're going to talk about, or what I'm going to talk about, will mainly center about the situational analysis in 2019, but also we will look at projections as to where we are heading to as a National Human Rights Commission in 2020. So, so what human rights? The question that people quickly ask all the time is, but what human rights are you talking about? What human rights is the National Human Rights Commission investigating, monitoring? Again, the point of reference is very simple here. The human rights we're talking about is not human rights that is invented by the National Human Rights Commission. The human rights we're talking about is the human rights that are enshrined in Chapter 4 of our 1997 Constitution. There is a whole chapter on fundamental rights and freedom. So we take our cue from those rights, and these are the rights we talk about. These are the rights we're advising the government on. These are the rights that are enforceable. But not only that, apart from those rights, you also know that no country lives in isolation. The government of the Gambia, it's a party to many international and regional conventions, human rights conventions and treaties. So the National Human Rights Commission, therefore, advises, it is mandated to advise the government to look at our existing laws so that the government can review the laws that we have so that they are in conformity with our international obligation. And that is what we also do. And you will discover that we have started doing what we call advisory notes, apart from advising the government, but advising the government, looking at laws that needs and policies that need to be developed, laws that need to be enacted to be in conformity with international and regional human rights standards. So what am I talking about? When we talk about the human rights that the National Human Rights Commission it's upholding, these are our fundamental rights and freedom, economic, social, and cultural rights, civil and political rights, for example. Today, we talk about our respect for civil liberties. These are the rights that we stand for and we advocate. Right to fair trial, peaceful assemblies, freedom of expression, which is very dear to you people as members, not only to you people, to everybody, because our primary mandate is to promote. By promoting, you have to raise awareness. If you do not have freedom of expression, how can you even raise the awareness of anybody relating to human rights? So these are the fundamental rights and freedoms, civil political rights, the right to vote, These are rights that are enshrined in our Constitution, but also rights to education, right to quality education, right of women, rights of people with disabilities, right to quality health care, clean drinking water, employment, regardless of ethnicity or gender. A very important right that we will go through very soon again, the right to vote. So these are, but our National Human Rights Institution looks at all the gamut of rights: economic, social rights, civil and political, right to development. These are rights that we champion as a national institution. So it is very important that we get it very clear at this level what we are talking about. We do not invent rights. We uphold rights that are in the Constitution and that are in the treaties and conventions that the Gambia has actually ratified or is a party to. Perhaps quickly, although you will be given copies of the report, but perhaps quickly, in 2019, you will find that our report is divided into two parts. The first part looks at the situational analysis. In other words, by looking at those rights that I've talked about right now, where are we? What have we observed? Where are we with those rights? And you'll discover that we looked at those rights, respect for civil liberties. You'll see that in our report, we have scanned the environment. Perhaps I should inform you that since October, we have the National Human Rights Commission had kick-started what is called the individual complaints mechanism, where individuals who feel that their human rights were actually violated can actually come to the National Human Rights Commission. There is a procedure, there is a process in place where they can actually lodge a complaint, and the complaint will be investigated by our legal and investigation department. So during this period, we looked at issues involving all these rights. We had investigated. I will not have time to go into all this, but we have investigated on our own, as the lawyers will say, sua motu. On our own volition, we have our eyes on the ground, well, the ears on the ground, our eyes are out there, and we have our investigators, and we have actually investigated issues, human rights violation. Some of you must have been following the case of the Usman Davo case, which sparked of riots. I think it was in June and July, in June of last year. We did a thorough investigation, and we proffered recommendation to the Minister of Interior and the Office of the IGP. We've done that just recently. Well, not in 2019, and the investigation is still ongoing. As members of the press, we got whiff of the crisis that was happening in the Upper River region, relating to the caste system in the Sarawule community, and I think even involved in the death of somebody. And we sent a commissioner. We dispatched a commissioner with an investigator to look at these things. So we have scanned the surface. Some of it was investigation we did. Some of it was review we did through the reports that we received from you. If you remember, in the early days, the time we didn't have a secretariat, there were certain remarks that were made by politicians relating to April 11 about demonstration and the risk of a repetition of April 11 and the showering of demonstrators with hot water. The commission came out with a very strong statement to that effect, because this is what we have been mandated to advise the government. We are an independent institution that has been mandated, but not only advise, because somebody asked me just the other day, do you just advise? We receive complaints, we monitor, we make a recommendation, but the commission is also empowered with quasi-judicial powers. What do I mean by that? If we receive complaint, we can summon the parties, and they come before the commission, and the commission will hear, like a tribunal, a court of law, and we will make recommendations on our findings, which, according to the Act, are enforceable. We are new, and a lot of our work will be tested as we proceed. But I must say that to report to you that February, when we were sworn in, Within a short space of time, we as a commission concentrated. Our biggest challenge during that period was to, if you have set up an institution before, you will know that it's difficult to set up an institution from ground zero. And this is where actually we were ground zero. We were housed by the, thanks to the UNTJ office, the United Nations Transitional Justice Project Office. That's where we were housed. That's where we had our meetings. The commissioners embarked on developing key policy documents so that we could actually catapult this commission. And I would again want to take this opportunity to thank my fellow commissioners. It's never easy. These were periods in which we argued, we differed, but we were able to come up with documents. We were able to come up with key documents that now governs the running of this, institution. So just to tell you where we came from during that period. But perhaps I should also inform you of one of the key things that we have done. We have a mandate to monitor. And monitoring places of detention and prisons. In December, the National Human Rights Commission embarked on a monitoring and fact-finding mission to the prisons in this country, from Mile 2 Central Prison to the Joshua Wing Prison to Janjambure and selected prisons throughout the country. We went there and we did a comprehensive study of what is actually on the ground. This commission is a commission that is on its feet. We move. And we came up with our findings, and apart from highlighting it in this report, we have even come up with an advisory to the government on what needs to be done to improve prisons conditions of inmates, of even the prison wardens who are working there. We found a lot of issues that we have highlighted in our report, because it is the role of the National Human Rights Commission as an independent institution to advise the government so that they can formulate better policies, change the laws, and this we do, and we do all the time. And I think it's important that you know that. And in the area of, for example, we know, and this is something that will continue, especially in the area of civil and political rights, the right to peaceful assembly. I think it was COVID-19 probably that dampened all these movements and demonstrations. And we have engaged the government. We have engaged the office of the IGP. We have even engaged at the time the 3-year Jotna. And we are engaging, we continue to engage. Just to tell you that we have even come up with an advisory to the government on how to handle public processions, based on not only our laws, but perhaps international standards, where the Gambia has actually ratified, and perhaps we need to even change our laws for it to conform with regional and international standards. This we have done, and one of the advisory that we have, it's on that. Issues relating to children's rights, issues relating to sexual harassment, issues relating to disability. These are important issues that affect the lives of Gambians. And this is what the National Human Rights Commission stands for. Remember, it says that it's an institution that must bring back a culture of human rights in the Gambia. By saying that itself, it seems that it knows that the culture is missing. And it's missing. I don't have to give you a lecture on that. 22 years has actually, and the ongoing TRRC has given us a lot of revelation. So we have missed track, and it's the job of this institution to bring everybody on board so that this Gambia will be a country, a haven for human rights, where we live together in peace and harmony. It is not easy, but we can do it together with the press. Why do I say that? How can we bring a culture of human rights? How can we raise awareness without you? To that end, perhaps one of the other areas that I need to highlight is we have coordinated and conducted capacity building training for law enforcement officers during this period. I think they correct me, I'm sure commissioners will correct me and our staff, I think up to 150 or more from junior and mid-level officers have been trained in the area of human rights. Because if you remember, and if you watch the TRRC, the biggest violators of human rights in our country has been members of the security forces. So there is a lot of work that needs to be done to reorient them, community policing, and so that they will be a human rights friendly institution. Because what we're talking about is due process. Actually, human rights, the keynote is due process. What do we mean by due process? Is to make sure that everything is done in accordance with the law. It's pure and simple. Even if you suspect somebody of committing a criminal offense, you must follow due process. And the law is very clear. So this is what we're talking about. And I will always, without overflogging the issue, I had always said that those that even made a mockery when we said those things in the past, that let us follow due process, the same people fell foul of those due process laws that they failed to implement. I remember during our visit to the prisons in December, when we had a chat with the prison wardens, one of them took me, and I still have the picture, and said, you see, that was the cell that they used to lock us. I said, excuse me? He said, yes, us. They used to call and say, lock officer so and so. I said, without due process? He said, yes, they lock you here for 3 weeks, one month. So if you put human rights into perspective, that it is for everybody. That is why we say, let us follow due process in everything that we do. So, and this is our mantra. This is our mantra, due process. But perhaps what is very important as a society and as a developing society in the Gambia is to home in, and this commission is resolved to make sure that economic, social, and cultural rights take, in the hierarchy of rights, it takes a pivotal part. And this we have started doing in 2020 especially. If you have been following the news, you will discover that we have started our monitoring and investigation on issues surrounding land. And this is very important in the Gambia. It is a flashpoint. Issues surrounding land ownership, issues surrounding mining, pollution of environment. These are issues that are very important to a developing society. And as we moved and progressed towards 2020, these are areas that the National Human Rights Commission is going to come strongly and is going to work with the government, because we feel that it's an area that we need to take things seriously. But since I have started talking about our vision, in 2020, as I speak to you right now, in order to be more strategic in our approach, we have currently embarked on a 5-year strategic plan, which has an operational plan and a resource mobilization plan. A 5-year plan that will focus the National Human Rights Commission so that we can better plan to implement our mandate efficiently. So in the next 2 months or so, 3 months, we will have a strategic plan which we will also share with you. But primarily, I would want to highlight things, but these are things that happen. They perhaps started, these issues, these human rights problem issues started in 2019, but they actually exploded in 2020. If you remember, with the advent of the demonstration of 3-year Jotna, it started in 2019 late, but of course, subsequently in January. So it was an ongoing thing. And the last demonstration that they had, in which their members were arrested, and even 2 radio stations were closed, if you remember rightly. It was the National Human Rights Commission that called on the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Information and the GPU to mediate, because our role is also, we have a mediation role. Because if you're going to bring back a culture of human rights, it involves also talking about peace and peaceful coexistence. And we will want to register that it was a big success for the National Human Rights Commission to call 2 ministers to this office and the members of the GPU. And we closed our doors with the commissioners. we had serious talk, and immediately after those discussions, it was announced in the footsteps here that Mbembe Kering, and I think it was King Digital or King FM, they were open. And this is a success from our part, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we want to be recognized as an institution. The National Human Rights Institution is not an institution for mass. It is your institution. Our success is your success. And that day, it was the success of everybody. It was the success of the GPU. It was the success of the National Human Rights Commission. It was the success of the Minister of Justice and Interior. Rather than litigation, rather than fighting, those we agreed. But not only that, perhaps I should, although this event also happened in 2020, we were all caught by surprise. COVID-19, when it started in December, when we looked at it in the news, we felt that this was a Chinese problem. Little did we know that little Gambia will also be affected. Fast forward, by February, March, we started having infection rates like everybody else. And the Human Rights Commission was very, very, very concerned because we had actually looked at the trends. And having been to the prisons in December, we knew, and we've seen the overcrowded nature of those prisons, the bad sanitary conditions. And we convened a commission conference, and we said it is important that we come up with a strong statement and advise the government, because if we do not decongest the prisons, it has already started in other countries. It will be a source of catastrophic infection. And we wrote to the government, and it was a 5-point, but one of them, the key one was that please consider, Mr. President, use your prerogative of mercy and decongest those prisons. And for prisoners who are not violent, who have not been convicted of a violent offense or of a sexual nature, and those that have been of good behavior and have served long, please release them. And I'm happy again to say that a couple of months, 2 months ago or so, or a month, over 115, I think they released 115 and then another 5, about 120 prisoners were also released. We're happy that this is our role, to scan the environment, to look at what is happening and proffer advice to the government. This is what National Human Rights Commission will do, and it will continue to do as we move to 2020 and beyond. But not only that, we were visited by a group of businessmen who came to us, and they explained how their livelihood, their economic rights were severely affected by the regulations that was passed through the state of emergency, closure of shops. And we actually wrote to the government again and said, well, we understand, but perhaps these things could be eased with restriction. And again, within 10 days or so, actually less than that, a week, some restrictions, it was lifted. And I think now hours were given for them to open, and non-essentials, they were given specific hours, but with conditions as to the number of people who could be in the shops. I'm highlighting this because this is the role of the Commission, and this is what we will continue to do as a Commission. But the 2019 report, which I have highlighted, is really a scan of what is there. But we also even looked at reports on human rights. For example, we have mentioned, if you look in the report, recommendations that were made, for example, by the Farababanta Commission, which we as a commission, when we looked at it, we still felt they need to be enforced, and they're still ongoing. As I tell you, matters relating to land, matters relating to mining, and we just felt that the government need to take heed of those recommendations and implement them. So these are the many issues that you will find highlighted. These are some of the challenges, some of the achievements that you find in our report. But maybe, I don't know how long I have, 3-4 minutes, maybe, or I've exhausted the time. 4 minutes. Yes, in conclusion. I would say that for 2020, we will want to work very closely with the press, and we have to. And in our work plan, just to tell you, we have already earmarked activities that we need to conduct with the press, because we cannot do it alone. We have to have partnership. You must have seen us the other day signing a memorandum of understanding with the National Council for Civic Education. We have to work closely with the press. We cannot disseminate and raise awareness without you. Perhaps one thing I forgot is that during 2019, one of the things that we did in order to promote human rights, because there's a lot of misconception about human rights that is Eurocentric. We went through the regions, the commissioners, executive secretary. We did a tour of all the regions where we had discussion with government officials, civil society, law enforcement, as to what our mandate was and what we want to do and where we are heading, because it's important that people know what we are here for. So we will have activities with the press, as I've said, and you are key to the job that we are going to do. We will coordinate also and conduct trainings with other civil society actors. Law enforcement, we cannot run away from them. We will be hand in gloves with them. We even have started working on a code of conduct for them. We, as I've mentioned, a 5-year strategic plan. But what is also important, that we cannot just talk about human rights or run human rights from a secretariat here. We need to decentralize. It is in our radar that we will decentralize. We'll have offices in the regions. Perhaps by the end of the year, we'll start with 1, maybe 2. So gradually, we will get there. As I said, our institution is work in progress. You see where we're coming from squatting, from being a squatter to now to being here. So we will also decentralize so that you cannot improve access to justice if you are not there with the people. So that the people of URR, the people of CRR, LRR, is not LRR now, I'm in the old school. It's division now. Oh, I'm right. Okay, I'm right. I was used to the divisions. We cannot improve access to justice. We cannot expect people, if they have a problem, to come all the way here from Basse. They must have a way of accessing the National Human Rights Commission. So it is in our grand plan to decentralize. So that we will do, just for your information to take away. But also we have realized something. And I'm happy that we have commissioners here who are really civil society orientation, and they understand the terrain. We have a vice chair who's very senior, has been with the African Commission. We have Imam Baba Lee, who needs no introduction. We have Commissioner Drame, who I've stopped introducing him. Whenever we go to places, before I say this is our commissioner, they say Uncle Nyundu. So we have Uncle Nyundu here, who's deep into rights with disabilities. And whenever we talk, we streamline these things. What about disabilities? What are we doing for them? We sit here, listen, we're disseminating information. Do we have people who have sign language, expert in sign language? How do we expect them to understand what we say? What about the Braille? And so these are all things that the National Human Rights Commission is looking into. And produce in Braille format, sign language interpretation, so that we will not leave anybody out there. But we will continue, because we have discovered that the big challenge we've all seen, and it continues. I think we probably even underestimated that awareness raising and popularizing our mandate we should again put it as a priority. I think it will continue to be a priority so that people will know what we stand for, and then we'll raise the awareness of the people so that they can understand what these human rights issues are, so that they can claim them. And sorry, you have been very generous to your chair. You allowed me to go on and on. But I must say, on behalf of my national, I don't want to say my, but I will say it, my National Human Rights Commission and the commissioners present, we really welcome you, and we hope that this is just the beginning of engagement that we will have to work together. The press will always be with us, but I'm sure we'll try and avoid our misunderstanding by talking, kacha, more and more, which we'll do. And on that note, I again thank you all for being present. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. And like Chair says, we welcome you, the press. I always say, as a Human Rights Commission, whether it's at the international level or the local level, if you don't have the press working side by side with you, then it's the people who lose, the people we're supposed to protect. And when I say side by side, it's not like supporting one or the other, but disseminating information to the people and making them understand how to enjoy the very rights that the Constitution has given them. And I guess the collaboration from this point will continue. There's so many issues. ES was trying to bring in other issues, complaints, procedure. I'm sure we will have more pressers, more press briefings with you people so that you could also help us disseminate what work has been done so far. Today, what has brought us is this annual report. This was the report we submitted to the National Assembly last Friday. It's part of our mandate that at the end of every year, we're supposed to come up with a report talking about our activities, what we have done, what we were short of doing, advice to government if any human rights abuse, if government has abused any human rights, recommendations, and that's exactly what this report has done. It's divided into two parts, basically. Chair has touched on it, so I won't go, I don't want to go into details because you will all be given copies later. But the first part was more the respect for human rights. And we made sure we went through the 1997 Constitution where we looked at all the rights that everybody in this country is entitled to. We looked at the civil and political, and we even looked at socio-economic, even though, unlike this new constitution, they were not clearly stated in the 1997 constitution. And just briefly, there were the civil liberties. There was the right to, Chair in talking just now, talk about the Jotna, the 3 years Jotna issue where we had to call in the ministers, the two ministers involved, information and justice, to sit and have some discourse. So at the end of the day, the people will be allowed to undergo a peaceful protest. If you look at what is happening around the world today, just somebody dies, somebody is killed rather, and the whole world is up in arms. In some of our African countries, you dare not just mobilize and go out into the streets. You'll be shot, you'll be killed. In other countries, you see people mobilize. Once you don't trespass, once you don't loot, you don't hurt other people, they leave you to protest. And that's what we as a commission will continue to fight for in the Gambia, if we can get that going. We also, there was the rights of children, people with disability, right to health, right to water and sanitation, unemployment. We even talked about the corruption and environmental rights. We talked about government bringing back the anti-corruption or at least enforcing the Anti-Corruption Act. So there were so many issues involved there. And I'm sure National Assembly, they're still reading this document to digest where we are coming from and the recommendations. And for some of them, they were fact-finding missions. We were able to go to certain areas. Like I said, I don't want to go into detail. It's going to take the whole day. But if you, I would really suggest, I would really urge all of you, when you get this report, just sit and read it. Read it and read, especially the recommendations, so that you can help us direct government to do what is right for the citizens. That's what this whole activity report is about. This is the first time we have a Human Rights Commission. It's never happened before. There was the Ombudsman, which was more administrative and a little bit of human rights. But for the first time over the years, I know since 1980s, we had been clamoring like other countries to have a national Human Rights Commission independent of government, but working hand in hand with government and working hand in hand with the civil society, which includes the press, to make sure that our citizens, or everybody, in fact, the Constitution is not just for citizens, but everybody who lives within the Gambia should be able to enjoy the basic rights, God-given rights. As is not so, and what we tell government most of the time is everybody should be free to wake up, breathe the air that God has given you, go to work, get a decent job if possible. Even where you don't get a decent job, even where you steal, the police should just not catch you, beat you up. They have no right to beat anybody up or torture. There is a due process. Because you are not part of my caste system, I don't have the right to come into your house, demolish your house, and say because you're not part of my tribe or you're not part of my religion, I have a right to beat you. You have no right. Even the state does not have that right. If you commit a crime, there is a process. Within 72 hours, you must be charged, and you should be charged. And these are all the issues. The issues are so varied that we have to now work hand in hand with government, work with the police, work with the prisons. We're in the prisons. The chair talked about this, all part of this report, where we saw the state of the prisons, and we're trying to get government to renovate and make it better. Because when I was in the African Commission, I used to tell colleagues, at the end of the day, you don't know who will be in that prison. With some of the governments we have, we might find ourselves behind bars, and you don't want to be locked in a room of 2 people where you have 50 in a room. It's not right. There are certain things that are not right, for which we would like government to amend. And we need the press. It's not going to be an easy ride. We all know that there are times there might be conflict, there might be even misinterpretation and misperceptions. But we feel free as a commission to come and ask and talk to us. Our doors are open. I don't think we've had any incident of any press that has called and we have not answered. I know my chairman is always ready to talk to the press and the ES. The last time, I think even Jundu did a program with the press. I don't think we have ever said no to the press. So feel free where you have a story and you're not sure of how to report it. You come, because you see, one little headline can create war. Let me put it in brackets, war. It can cost somebody their life for no reason. And by the time you know it, it's too late. It's happened in so many countries. One little headline can cost somebody their life. So always be sure that before you want to sell that paper and make that headline, that you are thinking about the next man who is going to affect. Our job we have to do, we know it's not going to be an easy job. When all of us took the oath, we said human rights is not like, it's so different from politics. In human rights, you have to be just. You have to be fair. You have to tell the truth. You might weigh the options, but you cannot run away from the reality. Because the moment we start doing that, it's as if we're taking sides, and we're not here to take sides. And I think from the first day we start, the government has realized that, I think we have put a strong team here, force we have to reckon with. Because we make it clear, even to the president, we were there some time ago, that there are times we will not, you might find us that we are being difficult or we are being tough. But we are trying to have a better Gambia, which we are all praying for. 22 years of the former regime, we don't want to go there. And may God, in his mighty power, not make us go back, where people were not sleeping at night, where people were molested for no reason, where people were tortured, people were dragged from their homes. I have people I knew who were dragged from their homes and just sent to jail, sat there for years. You were tortured because you were not like me. You were tortured because you did not have my religion, or because we don't come from the same caste. These are things that are still happening. People's lands were taken from them for no reason. And that is what has brought, the Sanyang is on, Farababanta was there, Katong is ongoing, and God knows, and I think yesterday I saw the Sukuta people and the Kombokundas or something. So it's all over now, and these are all tensions mounting. So let's work together and see how best we can ease tension within the country. Tensions are already high, and your headlines can either explode it or bring it down. This is the report. You all be given a copy of the report. And apart from this annual report, apart from the human rights issues we mentioned, we've also talked about the various activities, and Chair, of course, has touched on most of them. It's here. In the same vein, by the activities we did, like the monitoring prisons, detention, we've come up with what we saw and recommendations to the government. This is one on the detention prisons. This is the executive summary that came from their monitoring prisons. We had to do them in handbooks. So all of you will get copies. And then we have the advisory note, the one I just talked about, right to freedom of association and assembly, which a lot of people were fighting for. 3 years, Jotna was in the middle of some of it. Then the advisory note on sexual harassment. We know the issue before the TRRC recently of girls and women who are being harassed. They don't have a voice to speak. And some of them have sent anonymous messages and complaints to the commission. And we are also looking into it, except that the TRRC has taken the forefront in that perspective. So as you go through these documents, one thing I can urge, and we're going to give you copies. If you have any problems, want any clarification, feel free, please feel free. Any of us on this table and our staff, we have senior staff over there. We are open and we will welcome any clarifications. I thank you all very much.
And Commissioner Babali wants to also take the floor
he wants to take, okay,
to say something. So I would like Babali to say that first. And then we will have the Q&A for about 20 minutes. Between 15 and 20 minutes. I'll give you the criteria of the Q&A so that we will maximize on that before we get to the closing remarks.
Thank you, our able chair, for giving me the floor. As he rightly say, Imam Babali need to say something, and I'm sure you need me to say something as well. So being the case, I'll start by apologizing to all media houses in the country and some out of the country even, because I have a lot of calls for the last 2 weeks requesting to have an interview with me, and I refuse. Yes, I refuse for a reason. I refuse for one thing. I cannot keep offering interview to all media houses whenever they want it, because I have time for myself, for my family, for my religion. Yes, I said no, I am not going to talk to them at that given time. I'm sorry for that. It's not my nature, but situation is forcing me to behave like that at times. Number two, I said no simply because all their questions is about the National Human Rights Commission. And the National Human Rights Commission is an institution that well organized, and they have everything in place, and they have their spokesperson. And the questions they want me to discuss with them always should be properly answered by the spokesperson who happened to be the chairman. I said no. Yes, I said no simply because there are certain issues that I don't need to comment on them, because most of them came from some people who, in my view, are relevant hunters, are looking to become relevant. And it is well known, Imam Babali is a name of itself. It's a house name that many people, if they want to become relevant in the society, they attack Imam Babali or people like Imam Babali. So it is high time for me to be mature enough to respond to people who deserve to be responded to. Because Gambia being a small society, we all know ourselves, we know each other very well, and we know the strugglers of popularities in our society. And to use Imam Babali, that can earn them what they need. I want to say a few words here. Number one, Gambia is not an island. Gambia is part of the world community. and Gambia is a signatory and member to all institutions, including UN Human Rights Commission, including United Nations, including Commonwealth, including AU, including ECOWAS, and all these institutions have their membership and their quality. Do you or can you ask the Saudi National Human Rights Commission to withdraw simply because in the UN there are people who advocate rights for others that we are not compatible with? Do you ask the Gambia as a government, as a conservative country, as a predominantly religious country, to withdraw their membership from ECOWAS? Do you? No. Do you ask them to withdraw their membership or resign from AU because of AU is a signatory to certain conventions which are not compatible with our countries and our norms? So here, some are asking Imam Babali to resign from the National Human Rights Commission today and only today, forgetting Imam Babali was an activist, a right activist, a human rights activist for the best part of his life, since in the 80s, when Imam Babali became a member of the BAFRO, an organization that fight for the right of women, up to 1986, when Imam Babali became a founder member of Gamco Trap, struggling with them, fighting for the right of those who are voiceless, speaking for those who have no opportunity to speak for themselves, speaking for women who are mutilated for traditional reasons. Baba was there fighting for them. Baba was there fighting for those who are arrested illegally, without due process, tortured, some killed in those days, till Baba himself became a victim of what he believed in. He was not asked at that time to resign, because there was nothing lucrative for Baba to be forced to resign. Baba was fighting for those people till Baba became an exile, an asylee in a foreign countries for the reason of what he believed in and what he was fighting for. Today, Baba is asked to resign from National Human Rights Commission because Baba became an imam and a commissioner. What a jealousy is that? What selfishness is that? What ignorance is that? And you have Muhammad Saudi in the National Human Rights Commission in Saudi Arabia as a Muslim who pray far more than what I pray, who believe in Muhammad far more than me. Nobody asked him to resign. You have many Muslims all over the world as human rights activists. But unfortunately, it came from somebody who are dearly respect, who are dearly believe is educated, who are dearly believe is well-connected internationally, who knows what is happening all over the world, asking me to because I'm a Muslim. Forgetting that all organizations need somebody who represents the word of the Almighty God in their organizations to enlighten when it is needed, but to preach when preaching is needed, but to call for mediation and reconciliation of mankind as brothers, as one family when needed. And the Gambia and Gambians and our parliamentarians feel there is nobody who qualifies more than Imam Babali. I was elected, selected, scrutinized. Am I qualified to run this position? The whole country say yes. I become a member of the Commission of National Human Rights in the Gambia. One individual, so unfortunate, whom I have nothing in common to fight, whom I have nothing in common to exchange words, asking Imam Babali to resign from this important commission. A commission where I feel I can help my nation, but I can help human life, but I can help everybody who needs my help. Here I am. I'm just coming from Diabugu Batapa, CRR, working hardly day and night on the very hot sun to make sure families and brothers are sharing one roof for worshiping, are sharing one village for their common good. There is somebody who asked Imam Babali not to do that, or not to accept the facilitation that is facilitated for Imam Babali, because Imam Babali become the winner of International Human Rights Defenders Award in 2013. Jealousy grew. That's why I think I need to say something, and that is what I'm saying. Human rights is far beyond, far more than what they call same-sex marriage, what they call, how to call it again, gay. Our human right is far beyond that, but they forgot or they don't know. The Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said in the Holy Quran, "A'ati kullu zi haqqin haqqahu." Give the right to each and every one, the right he deserves to be given. Being an idol worshiper, being a gay, being whatever he is, he's a human being. He has what he deserves. Whatever crime he commits, he should be treated as a human being. Even if the criminal kills somebody, he should be arrested, due process must be observed, and he must be treated as a human being. So being the case, I unfortunately find myself become the biggest victim of National Human Rights Commission because of my name, because of my faith, and I'm not the only Muslim that work for National Human Rights Commission in different countries all over the world. This is what I have to say. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Aissatou Diallo of Gambia Talent to start our question.
Good afternoon. I am Aissatou Diallo, Gambian Talents TV. Recently, we have seen a picture going viral on social media on which Honorable Emmanuel urged the government, Barrow's government, to promote and protect LGBT in the country. And we did a vox pop on that, in which Gambia overreacted and shows anger, in which...
Question.
Yes, in which cases it's not allowed.
Yes, question.
So what is your reaction to that, and how are you going to handle that situation? Because we know promoting that is part of your mandate, it's part of human rights.
You want me to answer straight?
You want me to take home?
No, maybe I should. Yeah, well, I think that caption was wrong to start with. So it's very difficult to say that I was reported as stating that I'm promoting. And this is the way I was made to understand, because I even stopped reading the distortion on social media. You heard what we say. You know the rights. We defend fundamental rights and freedoms of people. And to say that I went promoting a particular right, it was not. It was. I didn't go to promote a particular right, as it is said.
Okay, I want to call
No, just allow him to finish. You ask your question, you should answer.
Yes. So it has been brought to my notice, just as you said, that we were even at the State House promoting certain rights. No, State House, actually. It has gone further than that. So these are stories that come out. But that is why you cannot stop what people say, especially if they want to distort. That was why we felt that we bring you here and we tell you the human rights that the National Human Rights promotes and protects. So forget about all those things that were said. It was never true.
As reignite the need for the Commission to do more work when it comes to sensitizing Gambians to understand these issues and the job of the Commission. Because the Human Rights Commission should be, let me say, it's bold enough. It's the first commission to come all out and talk about LGBT, clearly spelled out in a paragraph. This is for the first time. So, it's important that
quickly, let me just answer your question. You see, the thing is, if you sensationalize, you see, if you live in a country, and this is also where the press comes in. I know you need to sell newspapers, but if the story is sensationalized, to give that impression, with the picture there and you're just gay, that's what all people read. There is a lot of work. You yourself, you started the story, and the social online media ran with it, and it was all over the place. All the things that they said we espouse. So the work that you're talking about, the sensitization you're talking about, we needed to go do it with you. As you splash it there, out there, your chief editor, which gave the wrong impression. this is how you should again come to start explaining these issues. So yes, just to answer your question, there is a lot of work, not only in that area. We are a very conservative society. We have issues relating to tribe, relating to religion, bigotry. If you, during the CRC, if you read the issues that came out, then it makes you worry that it's a society that we need to talk. We need to engage in discussion and dialogue. So I'm just agreeing with you, but also if you sensationalize, this is what Gambians do. They don't read. So I throw it back to you. You need to do a lot of work. Human Rights Commission is here to defend the rights of vulnerable groups. Maybe that's a better headline. Human Rights Commission has made 91 recommendations. 91 recommendations. You know.
That was what I said initially.
Yeah. So, but they know.
Yes, you cannot have a whole 60-page book.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure at the time, and maybe even with this presser, we might have another presser, we might have another press briefing.
Yes.
Because you're just getting this report. That's why I urge all of you to go and read it. But at the time, I'm not sure, I understand Standard even had a copy of this report.
No, they came for it.
Yeah, they came for it and say yes. But you could have said, you know, we had made recommendations as to 20.
No. Inside his report.
Rights.
Let me help you, VC.
But only one right was picked up, and that's what created the whole thing.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
You just
Anyway, Omar, I think the whole point is it was not your article. It was your headline. Your article was fine. You
It was fine.
with it.
But he even quoted
that's
me.
fine. That's okay. No, that's okay. That's okay. We are not complaining. No.
Commission. I called commission.
Yes.
I called him.
No.
And I warn you.
It's okay. It's okay.
But anyway, let's move on.
Omar Bijalo. Where's Omar Bijalo? Yes, Omar Bijalo. QTV. Yes, please, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
And please, there are a lot of things I think you can ask. All the questions asked, please, let's move on so that we finish this.
Okay, good afternoon once again. I think a solution to this problem, you have it at your disposal. But I want to know if you really have plans to employ those available solutions to solve this problem of misquoting you or misconception of the society towards you for your mandate. You repeatedly, all of you repeatedly mentioned the inevitable role that the media has to play in helping you actually realize or actualize your mandate. Yeah. But you have not told us what plans, whether you have plans to train us, because we will continue to misquote you.
Actually, I did mention.
We will continue to misquote you as long as we are
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Mr. Ba, what's his name? Omar Jallo.
Okay.
Omar Jallo, calm down. I think you must have had a heavy breakfast. You're too excited.
No, it's okay.
No, let's just finish it. Let's just finish it. If when I was giving my statement, I mentioned the importance of the press, and this is the beginning. I have mentioned that even in our work plan, in the work plan that the National Human Rights Commission has, we are going to engage with the press. We conduct training. We are partners. So all these things will be part of the package. The press will be our ally. We have to do this together. We cannot do awareness raising without you guys. And this is the beginning. That's why we called you here after going to Parliament. You're the first group of civil society that we call to sensitize you about our report.
Regarding the issue of go ahead and answer the issue of Professor setting up the
Yes. Peaceful assembly, peaceful procession. Yes. Well, it is part of one of the advisory note. Yes, and actually, Commissioner Drame did mention it. We're moving away from the issue of permit to notification. The Public Order Act. We know that there is already a bill to amend it. We encourage the government. We've made recommendation that they should amend it from. So it's there as well.
Okay, Usman Mani, you are giving permission for another question. And that is the last one. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we understand that you presented your report to the National Assembly, the 2019 report.
Yes.
And the chairman did mention of a 5-year strategy for plan.
Yes.
To go to stakeholders.
Yes.
And we have seen at times where National Assembly members of a specific committee going against issues that are not in the law. Because we've seen that, you believe that you misquoted you people. And there are instances, National Assembly members, in fact, misquoted the Constitution. Now that you have that relationship with the National Assembly Committee on Human Rights, what plans do you have for them to train those members, to make them understand your role and responsibility, for them not to make us misinformed people?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. The oversight function, the body that has oversight function on the National Human Rights Commission is the National Assembly, in particular the Standing Committee. We already have established rapport and good relationship, and they have actually summoned us on 2 occasions to go and talk to them, even about amendments of laws relating to the National Human Rights Commission. But also in our annual work plan, in the plan that we have for this year, had it not been for COVID-19, we would have had a series of engagements with them. So just to tell you that we will be having engagements with the Standing Committee of the Standing Committee of the, what is it called? On Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs. Yes, and we'll be engaging with them. So be rest assured that issues relating to the human rights, constitution, international treaties, review of the laws, we'll be discussing with them.
Thank you very much. I guess we have now come to the end of the press conference. It is fitting at this stage to invite our Honorable Commissioner Jundu Drame to give you the closing remarks. Knowing him, he's not going to take a long time to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I guess we've come to the end of this presser. The chairperson and everybody has said the common cliche that the media is the fourth estate. But for us, the National Human Rights Commission, the media is actually the main bulwark against dictatorship and tyranny. It's also the pillar on which democracy and good governance rest. So the media is absolutely very important. You are the eye, the ear, and the mouth of the public. I'm sure you know this, you have heard this. I guess it was Jefferson who said if he had a choice between a government without newspapers and newspapers without government, he would choose the latter. He would choose newspapers without government. And I think that only shows how important the media is for democracy and good governance. And why the media is also very important for the National Human Rights Commission. The media and the National Human Rights Commission we are condemned to live together as bedfellows. Our 2 institutions, our 2 bulwarks of democracy. We need the media to popularize our work. We need the media to hold us to account on behalf of the people. But the media also need the National Human Rights Commission when the media is at the receiving end, when the media is attacked by other people, when the media's rights are curtailed, when media practitioners are at the receiving end. The Human Rights Commission is the body that is well placed to protect all you people. But we also depend on the media for our human rights monitoring work. Quite a lot of the information we get, we actually get it from the media. So you give us information. When right is violated, the first people that actually get the information is the media. And so you can also serve as referral for us, telling us where the flash points are, whose rights are violated, in which communities and where, and how the National Human Rights Commission can ensure that those rights, the violators face the full wrath of the law, and the violated have their rights remedied, so to speak. So we would have to have that symbiotic relationship. We'll have to work together. I'm sure some of you know this biblical thing. When Moses went to Mount Sinai to meet God, all what God asked him was, what is in your hand? And it was a stick. And that was what Moses used to liberate his people. So maybe we are also asking you, what is in your hand? You may have a mic, you may have a pen, you may have a paper. How do you use that to ensure that the work of the National Human Rights Commission is popularized, but people understand what their rights are, people understand what the mandate of the National Human Rights Commission, how they can access it, and what we can do. So I think for me it's important all the time that we are able to ask that question for all of us. What is in our hands? So we hope that this presser would be the beginning of a great collaboration and partnership, and absolutely important. It's not supposed to be the partnership between the pig and the hen. There was once a time when the pig and the hen wanted to have a partnership, a kind of a collaboration. And the piglet said he's going to sacrifice the pork. And the hen said it was going to bring to the partnership eggs. And so when the piglet went home and asked the mom, I've entered into a partnership with the hen. And the mom said, what are you going to contribute to this business? And the pig said, pork. I'll give the pork. I'll provide the pork. And the hen would provide the egg. And the mother said, do you know what partnership you are entering? To provide the pork, you will have to be killed. And the hen would have nothing to lose apart from laying the eggs. So that's not going to be a good relationship. So our relationship is not supposed to be one where we gag the press. That is not our role. And that it would not be in our best interest. Our best interest is to ensure that the press has the latitude. And that's why we made all these recommendations in our annual report in the state of human rights. So that you have the environment. We enlarge the space, the public space. We enlarge the rights for the media. But in return, you can also ensure that people know what our work is and what support we can give them. So as I said, our annual report, especially the state of human rights in the Gambia, is a checklist, is a monitoring framework. And we hope that by the end of 2020, you would hold us accountable for the implementation of the recommendations, but you will also hold the state accountable for the implementation of the recommendations. And I hope that if we do that, we would have a great partnership. And as they say, when you are not sure, I'm sure you know this as journalists, when you are not sure of a headline of a story, you either leave it out or you seek clarification. And so we hope that on any other matter that relates to human rights, whether it's information emanating from the National Human Rights Commission or it's information from outside, but that deals with human rights, and you are not sure of its implication, you are not sure of the merit of that particular case, that you refer to the National Human Rights Commission. We have a fully fledged, experienced, well-landed legal and investigation team to actually provide you the needed legal advice, or ethical advice relating to that issue. Finally, as General Wellington told his men at the Battle of Waterloo, forward all over the line. I think it should be also forward all over the line for all of us in our fight for human rights. Thank you very much, and great.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship, Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yai Baram.
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. What's Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbare ya bere. Birin koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong labe ko.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi man domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni
baraka
ni na lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.